Okay, I think we're going to get started. Welcome to the second session in our Better Together summer program. I'd like to welcome you on behalf of the Jenny Lynn Foundation. My name is Lynne Foy-Couche, and I've had many jobs with the organization. I've been with it for about 26 years. What I currently do mostly, besides being on the board, is I manage the student leadership program, and I also, it's like an event coordinator. Normally I would be spending the summer getting ready for our wonderful concert that we will put on at the end of our summer youth music program, where we meet for 12 weeks, rehearse like crazy, and some pretty challenging music, and present a very nice concert, public and free to everyone for the concert. But more importantly, this summer music program itself is free. So this is something that's grown from starting with, we had about between 11 and 20 kids in our first concert 26 years ago. And now we have generally between 300 to 350 that participate, usually on stage around 300. That's a lot of people that we've touched over the years, and we're very proud that there obviously was a need for this in the community, and through so many volunteer efforts by both youth and adults, we're very lucky to have seen this growth, and we're very happy to be able to continue to have something this summer since we can't meet in person. So this virtual academy is a wonderful event, and I'm just going to pass it on to two of my student leaders right now. The student leaders do a ton of the work. We really are a student-run organization. And so tonight I've asked Shalin Yu and Shakti Subramaniam to come on, and if they would just give us some announcements and tell you a little bit about the wonderful things that we're also doing to make it feel a little bit more like the camp structure that we usually have, some spirit events. Shakti and Shalin, take it over.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our second webinar in our summer series. My name is Shakti, and this is Shalin, and we are high school student coordinators working with the Jenny Lynn Foundation. We hope you enjoyed yesterday's webinar with Gordon Goodwin, and we would like to start off today with a couple of reminders and announcements.
You may have heard these yesterday, but we wanted to reiterate. Please join our closed Facebook group. Just search for our Jenny Lynn Music Program on Facebook and make a request to join. You will have to answer a few entry questions, and that's just so we can ensure child safety and verify that you are indeed a registered participant of our program. In addition, please join our Remind. If you text at JLF202 to the number 81010, you will receive text messages directly to your cell phone with reminders about upcoming webinars, spirit events, various competitions, and prizes. It's a great way to stay up to date and informed about all our activities for this program, especially if you don't have any social media accounts to follow us on, but be aware that texting charges may apply.
One of the things we send out through Remind are daily safety tips. Today is Two Tip Tuesday, so we have 2 tips for you about avoiding danger. Tip number 1 is to act confident and focused. Just as you can sense people's feelings, others can sense yours as well. Predators look for people who are meek, weak, unfocused, and distracted. So walk with purpose, and even if you don't know where you are going, act like you do.
And our second tip is to be aware of your surroundings. Knowing where you are and who is around you may help you find a way out of a bad situation. Avoid isolated areas because it is more difficult to get help if no one is around. And starting today, we will be hosting a Kahoot after each guest speaker's presentation. Each Kahoot will be based around that night's webinar, and we will have 3 winners. First place will win a $10 gift card, and second and third place will both receive a $5 gift card. To join the Kahoot, stick around right after our guest speaker's presentation, and we'll display the game code and more instructions for you to join.
Speaking of gift cards, another way to win gift card prizes is through our weekly spirit dress competition. This week's theme is Hawaiian, so dress up in your best Hawaiian-inspired outfits and send a picture to either our Instagram account at Jenny Lynn Foundation or email us at jennylynnphotos@gmail.com by Friday at midnight. We will have 4 winners winning up to a $20 Starbucks gift card, and these winners will be announced next Monday. For more information on our dress-up competition, check out our Instagram page. And again, if you missed any of these announcements, don't worry, all of this information will be included in our weekly newsletter sent to the email you provided during registration.
Thank you again for participating in our webinar series. We hope you learn a lot from our featured guest speaker tonight. And now we will pass it back to our moderator for the night, Mrs. Lynne Foy-Couche.
Hi, welcome back. And you'll see I have someone with me this time. Thank you for your patience with all the technical stuff behind the scenes. If there are glitches in the show, we apologize ahead of time because, well, there probably will be some. First of all, I'd like to say that we have tonight is a little bit special because we have guest artists that are from the community of music exclusively on all the other nights, but tonight is a very wonderful example of the rest of the community that we're part of. We'd like to welcome the Jenny Lynn Foundation, giving just tremendous applause to our local law enforcement agency. They work with us constantly. And when we asked if maybe we could have someone come speak, there was not even a hesitation. They were right there. And I can't tell you how much hard work was gone into this already. So I'm Lynne Foy-Couche. Our guest tonight is Sergeant Priscilla Silva, and she is with our Alameda County Sheriff's Department here. She is just a wonderful example of our agency here, and not only does she live in Castro Valley now and knows our community, that this is where Jenny grew up. She went to school with Jenny, and so she'll probably tell us a little bit more about that, but just first like to welcome Priscilla Silva. Thank you, Sergeant
Thank you
Silva.
very much. I appreciate it. It is a huge honor for me to be invited to this, and I just want to thank everybody for having me. I want to make the best of this. We've been working on this for a little bit, and I've just been excited. I appreciate all the work that everybody has done to make this happen, and I appreciate all of you for joining me tonight. I really want to make this as beneficial as possible for everybody in attendance. So please don't hesitate to ask questions. I'm going to try to get through the presentation as quick as possible so I can open it up to Q&A, and we will have points of the presentation where you can, we'll address some of those questions.
Okay, we're going to go to the presentation now. If you'll give me just a minute to start sharing our screen. I'm going to ask her to tell you, though, a little bit while we're setting up for sharing. I believe it's already sharing, and I didn't tell it to. Something tells me. 1 second. Sorry again, the technical difficulties. Apparently, we are sharing. So let's go ahead and assume. I'm just going to hear a message from my behind the scenes people if you can still see us. I don't know if you can still see Sergeant Silva, so send me a message if you can. Right now, I know that we are, on the second slide, so let's go on. Start back from the beginning and let's start. I think they can hear us.
All right, perfect. Go to that slide. Today we're going to talk about what media it is today, because it is different today than what it was when we went to school. You guys have so much, and I'm very proud of all the work that everybody is doing on their media. We're going to talk about what mobile media it is, and we're going to talk about what you as a publisher, what that means and what that means for you legally. We're going to talk about your digital reputation, and we're going to get into what bullying is and what it's led to. Why am I giving this presentation? Because we've experienced a lot of problems in the schools regarding some of these issues using media. And often school administrators call 911 because somebody's been bullied or they've been threatened, or it's been an ongoing situation where 2 or 3 or 500 people are bullying one person via social internet, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, all the social networking sites that you guys use. So the sheriff's office comes into play, and being a school resource officer for about 8 years, I decided this presentation needed to be done to educate kids. At no point am I trying to scare anybody. I'm trying to give you as much information as possible so that you can continue making the right decisions for each other and for yourselves and for your family. So anything you may be hearing today, please share with your friends and family that couldn't be in attendance. I mean, I'm sure you could probably teach some adults some of these things that they don't know with the information I'm giving you. If there's anything I do know, it's the law. So I'm going to explain what the law is. And again, it's not to put anybody in fear, but it's so that you're very knowledgeable on what the law is, how can you not break it, and what happens if you do break it, and what your options are. So we're going to go ahead and just dive into this so that we can get started.
And just so you know, they didn't see us in the beginning, but now we are on with screen sharing.
Thank you.
Technically, we are in the correct place.
Perfect.
So we're going to move on to the next slide. I think we're starting with media today, as you can see at the top.
Yeah.
Oh, did it go twice? No. We're just having a lot of trouble here.
So when we talk about media, we're talking about the internet, we're talking about social networks, we're talking about tweeting, instant messaging, video games. Back in the day when we played video games, we had to wait for our brother and sister to get on to have our turn. Now, all of you can play video games together from your home, and you can chat, and you can talk to each other, and that's wonderful. Again, another great thing you guys had that we just didn't have growing up. You guys do instant messaging, you have Skype, FaceTime, Zoom, WhatsApp. There's so many different ways that you guys can connect with each other, and these are all wonderful things. Photo sharing, having mobile phones on you, tablets, laptops, whatever you guys may use. Anytime you get onto the internet, or you're communicating with somebody, or text messaging, or using any of these social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, that is a way that you're utilizing media. Back in the day, papers, magazines, that's all we would have. We go to the dentist office, you would just see people in the lobby reading magazines. Now, when you guys go to the dentist or doctor's office, you look in the lobby and everybody's stuck on their phone. I would say the average person spends about 4 hours on their phone on a daily basis. The average person, and that is pretty much adults. Teenagers, young adults, they probably spend more time using media than they do in actual school instruction. And that's why you guys are so good at it compared to us adults, is we just don't have the time with cooking and cleaning and picking up kids. So back in the day, we had more time because we didn't have as much media as you guys did. And I'm very excited that you guys have the avenues that you do to keep in contact with your friends, family, and people you work with, people you go to school with. So those things have changed dramatically when it comes to media. One thing that you don't, or maybe not understand if you're not really in tune with your settings, is that sometimes with these apps and photos and videos, or even instant messaging, you're sharing your location. And that's a huge popular feature. You want everybody to know where you are. I'm for that in some points, but then I'm against that when it comes to safety. Unfortunately, in this world, we have some really bad people. And what I mean by bad people is they want to hurt other people. And right now, we have bad people using the internet as a segue to reach out to particularly young adults. It's not specifically women, and it's not specifically men. They're targeting young adults, and they're pretending to be young adults, 13 years old, 12 years old, and really they're not. They're 22 years old, they're 30 years old, they're 40 years old, they're 66 years old. And they're doing it to build a rapport with young adults. And in that, you're giving away information that you wouldn't necessarily want people to know. And to me, when the public knows where you are and what you're doing and who you're with, you're compromising your safety. And I want all of you to be safe, no matter who you're with, no matter where you are. So let's keep that to the people that are most important to you, that should know where you are, that should know who you're with. And that does include your parents, which I'm sure most of you wouldn't agree. But again, we're thinking about safety. So when you are using social media, check to see your privacy settings. Check to see who you're actually sharing your information with, because it can be a safety issue depending on when and where it's at, if you have your public or your settings set to public. So please practice the private settings on all your social media accounts.
Can I just ask one quick question?
Yes.
Everyone seemed to think for a while Instagram was one where you could put up a picture and then no one could ever see it again. Does that exist anywhere on the internet anymore?
That's a good question. So for those of you, law enforcement, we have great relationships with all social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Now, I don't have the right to call Instagram and say, hey, I have a good citizen here who's been following all the laws and doing a good job. Let me get all of her contact information and all of her account information. Well, Instagram or Facebook are going to say no. They're going to deny that request. But if in fact you are breaking a law, cyberbullying, posting threats, posting photos of somebody else that could embarrass them, harass, posting inappropriate photos, inappropriate videos. That is then breaking the law. And during the investigation that I would have to conduct, I then have the blessing from Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and all social media sites to then get access to your entire account. And when I say entire account, it's not what's just been up for that moment. It's the entire account, including anything you've ever deleted. Now, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, all these social media sites, they store everything. And all I need as a law enforcement officer, if I'm conducting an investigation that involves criminal activity, all I need is a warrant, and they will give me all the information. So there's no such thing as, although Snapchat, you can say, I only want it to show for 4 hours, it will always be saved with Snapchat. And that is something I can obtain as a law enforcement officer. Good question.
Thank you.
So it really becomes interesting when we talk about publishing, because I don't think a lot of young adults understand that every time they post something on a social media site, anytime you send a text message, anytime you send a photo to one person, 10 people, 20 people, 1,000 friends you have on Facebook, anytime you post a video, you upload it and you share it to somebody else, even if it just be one person, you have now become a publisher. And that's a very big responsibility, because now you're legally responsible for everything you publish. So back in the day, it was just you publish a book. Now it's not that way. Every single time you use media and you put something out in the world publicly to one or more people, you are now a publisher. So again, some of those examples is anytime you make a statement, anytime you write words and you send it in a text message, you post it on social media sites, you have now published that. And it will stay there forever. It doesn't matter if you delete it 2 seconds later. Everybody knows that within those 2 seconds, I can screenshot exactly what you published. So please, before you publish anything, reread everything you write and think to yourself, could this hurt somebody else? Is this threatening somebody else? Is this embarrassing somebody else? Is this bullying somebody else? Is this compromising the safety of somebody else? Because if it is, you have broken the law. And I don't want you doing that. In addition, anytime you publish something, there is no guarantee that it will forever be deleted, and there's no guarantee that you can ever take it back. And once it's been done, it's been done. So please reread everything that you write before you hit that send or post button. Look at a picture. Look at it from every angle. Stop, pause, and think to yourself, will this embarrass somebody? Am I making fun of somebody? Am I threatening somebody? Because if you are, you could be breaking the law. So please stop before you publish anything and think about what you're publishing, because I don't want anybody to get hurt. We've talked about once you've posted something, once you've published something, how long will it stay up there? Believe me, I've sat down with plenty of juveniles, plenty of young adults who said, I was just kidding, or I deleted it 5 minutes after, and it's an embarrassing photo of themselves or somebody else, and it stays out there forever. And I can speak to the person, and they could be crying, and they could be upset, or the parents, and there's no way that I can look at them and tell them, I can guarantee you it's no longer out there. So please don't put yourself in that position, because I hate seeing it. It breaks my heart. Can you control where things go? You absolutely have no control. One of the things I would say I love about young adults is all of you trust everything and everyone. And as you get older, you're going to learn you cannot trust everyone. So please build your relationships with people. You guys are better together if everybody can be honest with each other, have each other's back, look out for one another. And to me, some of the best friends that I have can sit me down and tell me that wasn't a good decision. And those are the type of friends that we need. Be there for the good, but also pull our friends aside and say, that wasn't really a smart decision. Let me help you make this better. So understand that every time you publish something, even if you delete it, even if you change your mind, you cannot control who received it and what they're going to do with it. So please just as a police officer, I've seen some really heartbreaking stories where a girlfriend is dating a girl and a boy are dating, and a girl sends the boy a picture, and then they break up. And then the boy sends it to his whole soccer team. And there's nothing I can do about that. So please be careful who you trust. Be careful who you're publishing with. Because unfortunately, you can't trust everyone. So please work together, be better together, to have each other's back, and make sure that you guys are talking appropriately and publishing appropriately.
Can I say one thing too? As a teacher, one thing I think people don't realize we see is that people have a level of trust, and then something happens, they lose that trust, and you did things when you trusted them completely that you're really sorry for later because you found out, well, I really couldn't trust them that much. And it's never more real than after the fact. And if it's something you said in person, you don't have to regret that because it's done and over.
Mm-hmm.
And the internet, it's not really ever done and over, is it?
No, everything on the internet lasts forever.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind, is once you hit that post button, once you hit that send button, you can't control it going away. You can never delete it. So please just please be careful what you're publishing. The next thing we need to talk about is context. It sets the circumstance, it sets the tone. And one of the things we constantly get are bullying and threats happening. And I will tell you, in the court of law, the only thing that matters in the court of law is how the victim felt, not what the suspect meant. So what I mean by that is, if I'm the suspect and I say something mean to somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
and I say, well, you are ugly, okay? And I say that to somebody else. Well, it could be my best friend, and we play around and we say we're ugly all the time. And we're just completely kidding, right? And if you have that type of trusting relationship, that's one thing. But if you don't, and you say that can hurt somebody else's feelings, right? And then we have a problem. So it's important that when we talk about things and we post things, not everybody can hear your tone when you're posting words. When you're sending a text message, that's why you guys I say you guys, you young adults, used emojis all the time, all caps all the time, right? Us adults, we don't do that. Unless we're angry, then we'll yell a bunch of caps. But you guys have your own acronyms, your code words, and those are all wonderful and great. But I just want you to then be careful when you're publishing. Can somebody take what you said the wrong way? In fact, let me ask you a question right now. How many times have you sent something to someone, whether it be a text message or a post, and somebody took it completely the wrong way?
Me.
I mean, it happens every day with my son. He irritates me because he'll send me something, I'll send him something, he'll be like, why are you mad? I'm like, I'm not mad. But the context is out of place. So sometimes we need to watch how when we reread everything that we send and we look at things and we step aside, if we've really looked at it, then we shouldn't have to worry about the context. Just make sure you guys are taking some time to really read what you guys are writing and pictures and videos you're posting, and make sure, again, that you're making it very clear what your context is. What's the circumstance? What's your tone? Are you happy? Share that. Because again, as the suspect calling somebody ugly in court, the judge and the jury doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the victim. And if the victim says, I really was hurt by her calling me ugly every day, the judge is going to award in the victim's favor. So please remember, it doesn't matter what you meant if you were just kidding. Once you publish it and you've broken the law, all that matters is how the victim felt. So please keep that in mind. I know we say things that we don't mean. It's human nature. But when we're publishing it, please be careful.
And then on the other end, we also have to worry about context when we read what someone sends us as well, too. Because a lot of times I'll see something and think exactly what you said. Why is she mad? Or I didn't mean that before.
Yes.
And
another suggestion I'm going to give, all of you are getting older and you're going to mature. Please, when you're having a very deep conversation with somebody, do it in person. Don't do it via social media. Don't do it via text messages or a thread of text messages. Just call that person and say, we need to talk, and meet and have a conversation face to face. Sometimes that's the best way of dealing with conflicts, is no audience at all. Because then when we're speaking about a conflict, it's just you and me. We can be completely honest. There's no audience. I'm not being pressured to act a certain way. So please, if it really is important conversations, wait to see that person in person so they can truly understand the context of what you're talking about.
Now, some people are going to hear that and they're going to think, I can't wait till we're not in quarantine from COVID.
Right.
But I think you're saying we're looking for facial clues and cues.
Yes.
So video is fine.
Yes.
You can see someone's face and
yes.
body gestures.
And that's what I'm saying. FaceTime, any type of video, if you're having an important conversation, especially during COVID, try to do it in person. And try to do it with nobody else around, especially if you're dealing with some type of conflict. I think it helps. It's hard for me right now to even give this presentation because I'm used to doing it in front of 1,000 or 500 kids, and I get a feel of how people are receiving. So it's hard right now not having you all in front of me. But that's just a prime example, again, of important conversations need to be had in person. And right now with COVID, yes, I would agree. Please use your video apps to make that happen. When we start talking about context, again, we're hitting on some of the social network sites that you guys are using, or people are using: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Snapchat, you name it. Please think about the context you're putting out there. I've talked to fifth graders, young kids in elementary school, and the first thing I ask them is, how many of you have Facebook? And like all of them raise their hand. They're like, yeah, me. They're so proud. And then I say, how many of you are 15? No one raises their hand. Well, per Facebook, you have to be 15 years old to have an account. So right then and there, I have all these fifth graders that are technically breaking the law. They are not 15, hence why they cannot have a Facebook account. Now, all of them almost started crying when I put this out there to them, which was not my goal. But they got scared and they thought I was going to arrest them. No. But you do have to be a certain age. And I get the kids that say, I don't know, I didn't know. And it's funny because the one thing Facebook asks is, what's your date of birth? So you would have to lie about that in order for Facebook to grant you an account. So you do know that what you're doing is lying about your age to gain access to a social networking site. And that is against the law. Now, some of you might say, well, my mom and dad said I could. And what I've told parents is, unfortunately, that's not the best decision. Because if you break the law now and you get away with it, what's going to happen when you're 21 or 18 and 19 and you're not 21 yet? Are you going to drink alcohol? Because you got away with it once, you lied about your age. So it's not really setting up the future for being honest and following the law. And I don't think it's something that should be allowed. However, we do have parents that do monitor their Facebook accounts of their young children to keep in contact with the family. I think I'm okay with that. I would just have to really monitor. So if those of you have little brothers and sisters, step in there. You're better together as a family, as a group, as an organization. Please help your little brother and sister out. They're not getting this presentation. So if you do have little siblings, please help your parents monitor them. Because they might even come to you with a little bit more confidence in questioning about social media versus mom and dad. So please be better together. Look out for your siblings because they're going to be your age one day and you'll probably not be around. You'll be off to college enjoying your life. So please, talk to them about how old they should be to have a social networking site. And if they are younger than the age, try to step in and help monitor them. And have you lied to your friends about the age to get on the site? Yes. A lot of kids are lying about their age to gain access to social networking. I'm not going to go to everybody's house and arrest everybody for not being old enough. That's not what I'm saying. But just that in itself is breaking the law. And if I'm conducting a criminal investigation and I find out there's bullying going on Facebook, and then in addition, I found out you're not even old enough to have a Facebook, well, now that's 2 criminal charges against you. So again, I'm here to educate you so we don't rack up the bad things, but we start making some smart decisions together. I've talked to you guys about your privacy settings, and I'm going to tell everybody, and I'm going to encourage you, please put your privacy settings on private. Monitor who you're allowing in your life, who you're allowing to see your posts, who you're allowing to see your photos. Be careful of the photos that you're putting out. Be careful who you accept as a friend. Again, this goes back to the trust issue. You trust everything. So out of the 1,500 friends you have on Snapchat, can you trust all 1,500? So that's where, again, where I go with the trust issue and privacy settings. I'm just trying to keep you safe. Please practice setting your privacy settings to private. And for me, those of you who are already doing it, I'm proud of you. Keep up the good work. See if you can influence other people to do the same thing. Because when you don't, you're allowing yourself to open the door to so many other people all over the world outside of this country that are bad people, that are predators, and they are looking for people just like you to open your door for them. So please be careful and set it to private if you can, because a lot of people can see some information that maybe you don't want to put out there.
And when you're allowing people to tag you in photos, you're also giving away location information or habits and what kinds of things you like to do. You're giving information out that you didn't mean to, probably.
Yes, and unfortunately we have had some calls regarding trying to find somebody via social media because they have put something bad out there to other people. So please, we have bad people that are just trying to wait to find a moment for you to give your location so they can go and find you. Yeah. So please, again, I'm not trying to scare you, but I have experienced these 911 calls. I have responded to these 911 calls. And I don't wish it upon any parent. I don't wish it upon any loved one to ever feel like they've been targeted that way. So please be careful and practice safety at all times. When we talk about privacy settings, everything has, I don't know, so many different privacy settings. It's hard to keep up with. So please, again, control who sees your information. People can find you. People can contact you. I mean, I have adults do it all the time. They put their home address in their home, in their navigation inside their car. So then somebody steals the car and now the person knows where they live. So I have adults making the same mistakes. So everything I'm telling you, it's because I've been to the 911 calls. I've responded to people's homes. I've responded to a burglary in a house because on social media, the family put they were on vacation for a week. It is the hardest thing for me to see. It is the hardest thing for me to see. So please protect yourself and protect your family. Look out for each other because you're better together if you work together and you share some information with each other. So please look out for one another. And keep in mind, you can block people and they can block you via social media. So even if you do have your privacy settings set a certain way, you still have a way of blocking people out of your life and reporting people, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Please protect your passwords. Again, young adults like to trust a lot of people, and you'll kind of give your friend or your boyfriend at the time your password. If there's one thing I will say, a lot of relationships through middle and high school do not last very long. They're very temporary. Again, I'm speaking because I've been a school resource officer for 8 years, so I can see kids. I'm like, hey, where's your best friend? Oh, I'm done with her, Sergeant Silva. And they've only been best friends for a week.
Yeah.
So I respect all of your relationships, and I want them to be healthy and honest. But again, please be careful who you're sharing your passwords with, because it's very hard to have that trust. I am going to encourage you to share them with your parents, and most of you will probably laugh at me, and that's fine. I've been laughed at before. But I have a son, and when I decided to get him a phone, he had to share his passwords with me. That was a part of the agreement of him having a phone. Until he can afford his own phone and pay his own bill, then he can have his own password. Until then, since I'm paying the bill, I do monitor it, and I have passwords to not only his phone, but all social media accounts, and we're friends on social media accounts. And that's my job as a parent. I don't do it to interfere with his life. I'm not about reading diaries of my daughter or getting involved in my son's personal life. However, I will monitor it because I need to protect him and I need to have that open conversation with him. And I hope that your relationships with your parents allow you to have open conversations with them, because I try my best as a parent to allow him to feel safe enough to have those open conversations. So again, it really does fit the better together thing. Doing it together with my son really means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to him, and it continues a very trusting relationship. So please, if you can, share your passwords with your parents, so they can just, check in on you, or look out for you as well. It never hurts to always have people look out for you. If you do see something on social media, or you see your friend crying because something they read on their social media or received in a text message, report it. Report it. The one thing I realize is there's so many problems going on in this world right now. Obviously, we're dealing with COVID. We're dealing with mental health issues. We're dealing with people that are suicidal, that are depressed. And sometimes when you see a young adult suffering from depression, or they have a history of sexual abuse or physical abuse, it can only take one text message that can cause them to go over. I've responded to these 911 calls. I've seen families. I've seen people devastated. So please remember, you do not know about what is going on in other people's worlds. So if you see something, this is the time to step up and report it. And you report it via the social media site. You can report it to a school administrator, or you can call 911 and anonymously say, I need somebody to go check out my friend. She received multiple bullying text messages, or I just pulled this up on Instagram. I don't know if she's okay. I need somebody to go check on her. And to me, all that matters is life. I need to know that everybody is alive and they're safe. And I've gone to too many calls. I've responded to too many calls where one text message, one photo, one video is what pushes them over the edge. We have people in this world, young adults, young children, who have suffered and are suffering, and you don't know anything about it. So please encourage your friends, encourage your family to stay positive when they're publishing things. And if you see something that is not okay, don't ignore it. Be the one person that steps up and reports it.
Interestingly enough, we put out a survey that all of you would have gotten, where we'd love it if more of you would participate in it. And one of the things we said was, what did you do when you noticed something? Or did you report it? Did you tell your parents? Did you tell an adult? Did you do nothing? And overwhelmingly, the biggest answer so far is I did nothing. And really, it's not that they didn't feel that they should. It was that they're just so used to seeing it. It happens way too often is what we're seeing reported so far. But not many people have filled out the survey. So if some of you want to get in on the conversation, that's another way you can do that. Tell us more about that.
Yes. So I'm going to remind you, we need more people like you to step up and report some abuse if you see it. And if you know the person, it never hurts to just call, text them. Hey, I saw what something posted. How are you doing? Do you need anything? Is there any way that I can help? That could mean the difference between somebody ending their life and not.
It absolutely could.
So please work together, look out for each other. And definitely, it does not hurt to report anything, and you can even do it anonymously. So please look out for each other. Right now, what you guys are doing on social media is phenomenal. I've seen great work. I've seen great works of art. Oh, okay.
I'm going to interrupt 2 seconds because we have a couple questions waiting.
Oh, perfect.
And we're just going to take a little pause in the slideshow for a moment. I'm going to take it down right now, and I'm going to ask if our technicians in the background can bring on a couple students. I'm going to introduce them to you right now, and they are going to ask a couple questions based on what we've seen so far, and then we'll go back into the slideshow
No
afterwards.
problem.
So I've got Julia and Nadia here, and both of them are recent, this year, joined us just this year as student leaders, but boy, they're doing great guns and working hard. So Julia, Nadia, which one of you wants to go first?
I'll go first. So I'm Julia, and Ananya has a rather complicated question. She says Facebook is a mandatory for certain clubs or groups in high school, and not all students are 15 years old at the time that they need it. Would it still be illegal to use and lie on Facebook? If so, who would be in trouble, the school or the student?
That's a good question. So your parent would have to give permission for you to join this, correct?
They don't specifically ask, but presumably.
Okay, so generally when you're asked to do something and you're not the age, they will ask for a parent permission. If your parent gives permission and specifically for a school project, you're okay.
We actually use Facebook for our talking to each other. And so we often also say if someone is younger than 15, then we ask that maybe they use their parents' account, and it is their parents' account, and then their parent is the one controlling it.
Yes.
Until they're old enough to get their own.
Right, absolutely. Does that answer your question appropriately, Julia?
I believe so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nadi, do you have one?
Yeah, so the next question is it acceptable to purposely set a separate account to public for strictly non-personal stuff? And what precautions can be taken in this situation?
So yes, you can set up multiple accounts. It's not against the law to do that. And you can open it up to the public. And again, when I say privacy settings, being on private, I'm really talking about a personal page. Something you're sharing your family and friends, pictures of like your house, right? Your backyard, you with your little brother, you with your mom. Those are the things I would like to see private. Now, if you're setting up a page for a business, an organization, an art piece, public, put it public. I want the world to see what you guys are doing. All of you are doing phenomenal things. And I'm all for it. When I talked about personal, I apologize for that. I really would like to see all of you be very private about that, because it's your life. It's very private, and it should be an honor to be a part of it. And that's what I try to tell all young adults. Hold your standard high. Know that you're very important people, and it should be an honor for people to be accepted by you.
Do we have any other questions at this time, girls? I know we're going to come back at the end with more, but do we have another one?
Yeah, I think we have a few more.
Okay.
We have one from Stuti. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. But what if you're using a website like Wattpad where you're just posting stories? Is the age requirement as harsh there, or?
You know, every single social media site has age requirements, and it's different. And I don't know all of them, unfortunately. I only know the law. So when I do come across a problem that has some type of criminal activity, I'll do research on that specific social media site. So whatever you just named, I'd get in contact with them, and then I would ask them in questions. Like, what is the minimum age to be joining this? Can you give me this person's account if I have a warrant? That type of information.
Okay, and then our last question is going to be, what should someone do if their friend or someone they know isn't being safe on the internet?
Good question.
Yeah, I would have a private conversation with them, maybe as a friend. And that goes with the better together thing. When I say have each other's back, if your friend is doing something they're not supposed to be doing and you know it, it'd be great to have that alone conversation, like we spoke about, the one-on-one, to say, hey, I read what you posted yesterday. I have some concerns. I want to share them with you. You know, how do you think so-and-so felt by that? And we need to work together to make sure that people don't feel like that, because you wouldn't want to feel that way. So that's what I would say to you if your friend did it. And if your friend continued doing it, well, now you can have different avenues. Can you have a conversation with your friend's parents? Can you keep it inside without actually having to call 911 if it's not a real bad emergency, right? But if it's a misunderstanding, or your friend is just venting because they just lost a soccer game and said some inappropriate stuff, have a conversation with them. That's not something you would call 911 about. But again, you know, have that private conversation with your friend and say, hey, I know you lost the soccer game and you're devastated, but your comments were a little inappropriate. Let's talk about that. Okay.
Okay, thank you, girls. We're going to go back into sharing mode on the screen, and then we'll come back at the end with a few more questions.
Okay, so I just want to talk to you about everything that you guys are doing on social media right now is wonderful. I've seen a lot of wonderful work. It hasn't been all bad. Even though I do work for the sheriff's office and I do respond to a lot of problems, I've seen some wonderful things. What you guys are doing right now, maybe what you don't know, is that you're actually starting a reputation. It's called a digital reputation, a footprint that belongs to you. Right now, if you were to apply with my department and you wanted to become a police officer, one of the background questions is, have you ever had or do you currently have any social media sites? We have to disclose that information because we have a background process that's done on us. Now, once for what I joined, I had a Facebook. So I told them I had a Facebook. Well, we sign a waiver. And in that waiver, it says that they can conduct a complete background check on us. So they were able to grab all of my Facebook account information from the day I started it to the day I ended it. They were able to look at every single post, every picture, every video, every message I put out, every video I shared, everything I've been tagged on. They were able to look into that. So when I explain it to young adults today, when we're talking about safety on the internet and staying positive, it's about your digital footprint as well. You guys are building a reputation. You're going to be going to some colleges. You're going to be applying for careers, applying for apartments, houses to buy, houses to rent. And background checks are being done more thoroughly than they ever were done before. And the reason why is organizations are facing liability. They don't want to hire the wrong person. So if I was 15 years old back in the day when I had a Facebook and I was smoking weed out of a bong and put it on my Facebook, what is the likelihood I would be a sergeant today for the Alameda County Sheriff's Office?
Yeah, that was illegal back then. So
it was illegal back then. So here I am conducting illegal activity, consuming drugs when I was 15, and now I'm a police officer, or I want to be a police officer and I'm applying. The answer probably would have been no. So please be careful what you're posting and what you're publishing. And if you're unsure about it, find an adult and say, can you review my profile and tell me what you think? Do you think this is hurting my future? Is this going to hurt me getting to the university that I want to get into? Is this going to hurt me being a doctor one day, or a counselor, or a teacher, or a police officer? Because right now, big organizations are being very careful about who they hire and what their past is. So please know, you are building a digital reputation right now, and it could affect your future.
And it's not even as far out as that. We've had people apply for our student leadership program that were drinking on their Facebook or making claims about things that the foundation, we know they're wildly unsafe.
Yes.
And we just, have to think, are we going to bring that person in as representing our foundation?
Exactly.
So having a leadership position like this when you're in 9th grade really makes a difference in college applications down the road. So It doesn't start 4 years out. It starts now.
Absolutely. I'm in 100% agreement. So again, if you're doing the right thing, you're posting positive things, you don't have to worry about this. You're just building a great reputation. And if you haven't started already, start building a great digital reputation. I'm sure there's plenty of things that you are doing, that you're creating, that you've accomplished, both personal and school-wise, that you can share with the world. I'm going to encourage you to do that.
Sorry, having trouble with it going forward. 1 second. So while we're waiting for this, I am going to take this moment to just mention that we also want to remind everyone as we move on, we may be getting into an area now where it definitely is something you should be high school or older. So if you have someone watching us that is in 5th or 6th grade, parents should be there, and parents, you may decide to step out with some of the mentions of the things that we're going forward with at this point. So just a little disclaimer to remind you.
So I really want to get into bullying online because I know everybody knows what bullying is. It's very simple. If you hurt somebody's feelings, you intimidate them, you pick on them, you say mean things to them, you harass them, it's bullying. It's against the law, whether it be face-to-face or on the internet. Let me tell you what the problem is with the internet. Is face-to-face, people don't have the courage to say these things. But when they're home, alone, or at a friend's house with a group of friends, and they decide they want to become courageous, they put out some mean things. And people are meaner on the internet than they ever are in person. The things that I have read over the years that young adults, young kids have wrote, it's disturbing and it's very mean and it can hurt people. So please don't tolerate it. Don't tolerate it from anybody else, and don't tolerate it from your friends. This is where you need to come together, and this is where we all need to grow up and we need to mature, because there's a way to use our words. Your words are so powerful, especially now. You young adults have more voice to be heard than we ever did. Use them wisely. Use them nicely. There's a way to get across, always, but you will be heard if it's done respectfully and nicely. If it's done mean, you are not being heard. So think about that. Everybody knows that when anybody types anything on social media or says anything bad when you're bullying, it's going to spread. It's going to spread like wildfire.
Absolutely.
And that's the biggest problem we're having right now is bullying happened back in the day with us. There would be maybe 5 or 10 people around to hear somebody call us a bad name. Well, now when school starts in the morning, we have a girl walking into school that doesn't even want to be there, is scared because the night before 500 people bullied her the night before.
Right.
So she doesn't even feel safe to come to school because she knows that 500 people read what people wrote about her. So please stop the bullying. Everybody has the right to go to school. Everybody has a right to be a part of an organization such as this one. Allow that. You can say things, but you can't take it back. We've talked about those things. And online bullying can be extra painful if it goes viral. I'm sure all of you have been looking at social media and you're seeing the Black Lives Matter movement. You're seeing the riots. You're seeing COVID-19 coverage. It's spreading like wildfire. And that's how it is with bullying when it comes to young adults, especially if you're a part of the same organization or you're going to the same school. Everybody knows. And if they didn't know at school the next morning, they will know because now you're face to face. So it extends farther than even what the bullier thinks it's going to extend to.
And if you're there to arrest someone or investigate something, have you ever heard anyone say, I never meant for...
That is like probably the number one answer I get. Why did you tell this girl that you were going to beat her up? I was just kidding, Sergeant Silva, but remember what I said. It does not matter what you were doing. It doesn't matter if you were kidding or not. The only thing that matters is the person that heard what you said to them and if they took it seriously. So please be careful. Bullying can have consequences. Obviously, it can damage reputations, especially the digital reputation we were bringing up earlier. If you're bullying somebody or somebody's bullying you, it's going to take a dent in your digital reputation. But if things from your home, if it involves another person that goes to the same school, you're also looking at school discipline, suspension, referrals, whatever it may be, because it involves another classmate. You can have some school discipline involved as well. And then obviously I can become involved, particularly the parents is who that call me a lot and say, I need you to come down here. I'm not happy with what the school is doing. I want you to do something about it because this little girl is bullying my daughter every day.
Right.
And then that's when we get called. So the first thing you can do is stop. Refuse to pass on any bullying information. If somebody comes up to you and says, hey, show me that video everybody's talking about where so-and-so got beat up, stop. Stop. Stop it. You have the power to be better together and stop it. Block the communication. If somebody sends you something, delete it so you don't look at it, you don't read it, you don't share it with nobody else, you're not tempted to. And report it. Remember what I told you, you do not know what everybody lives with. And that girl that came to school that got bullied by 500 people the night before, you don't know how it affected her. So please report it. Step up, work together, look out for each other, and report these things. Don't be a bully yourself. Parents used to always say, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. Well, even though that was way back in the day, it still applies today. You're going to learn as you grow older. You're going to work with people you do not want to work with. I work with plenty of people I don't like, but they're not worth my job, my dream, my career, and my goal. I always have to be the bigger person. And sometimes that means not being a bully back,
Right.
walking away. I'm sure you know, as a police officer, there's a lot of people that scream at us that don't like us. I cannot bring it back. I have to remain professional. So as you grow older, you're going to learn what bite your tongue means really quick. So please don't engage in the bullying. If somebody's bullying you, don't do it. If you see inappropriate behavior, please report it. And then think about ways that you in your organization can stop bullying. How can you guys help each other? Because you're smarter than I am in that arena. How do you get in touch? How do you make an impact with your mentors, with your peers? How do you get through to them in your way of communication?
And I'm just going to mention that if we do the last section, we'll be way over time for you.
Yeah.
And I want to be mindful of your time.
Yeah.
So do you think that would be a good place to stop for tonight?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay. And we're going to just
Do
bring
some
on the
Q&A.
girls one more time.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop screen sharing and see if there's one. We probably have time for maybe one or two
I can do 2 more questions. We're good.
Okay. So let's bring on Nadia and Julia again. Who's first, girls?
I can start. Can a future college or volunteer administrator see your digital history, deleted or not?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
Can a future college or volunteer administration see your digital history, whether or not you've deleted it?
You've deleted stuff.
It depends on the power they have for background investigations. So as law enforcement, we have a little bit more power to do that, especially if there's criminal activity and we're doing an investigation. But for somebody who's just doing a background check, I don't think they're going to call Facebook or Instagram. I'm not sure, though. Some of these colleges are very prestigious and they're very selective of who they allow in their universities and colleges. So I don't know how in-depth they get with their background investigations, but
there could be some sharing that was done too, where you kind of lost control, where it went to a lot more people.
Yeah.
So it may not be possible to delete some things.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm not going to lie and say that they probably can't see things that you've deleted. So I really don't know. Each organization has their way of conducting background investigations and getting access to your social media.
Next question is, what advice do you have for a student who isn't sure if their post might be insensitive or not?
Best thing is call up your besties. Call them up and say, hey, take a look at this before I hit post to send, man. Am I going to be hurting anybody's feelings? Am I going to be offending anybody? Is this always, I don't know how many emails I have my coworkers read because I don't want to sound harsh. I don't know how many times I have somebody double check my work because I do not want to come across as mean or like ordering people around, especially now that I'm a sergeant. I want my people to feel like I support them, not that I'm telling them what to do. So sometimes having somebody else look at something might help look at it a little different and have a different perception of it.
Okay, do you have time for one more?
Yeah, let's bring it.
Okay, one more.
Can you give us an example on how social media can damage a victim's reputation?
Absolutely. There's a high school student who got a full ride scholarship to play baseball. He went to a party, and he was not 21, and there were pictures of him drinking beer, getting intoxicated. And he got into an accident. He was under the influence driving, and the college got wind of it, and they canceled his full ride scholarship. There's a perfect example how an organization like a college, a university, the Alameda County Sheriff's Office will never hire you or will not pay for you to attend their school due to their behavior. And what they think is going to happen is, well, once they come to our college and university, they're going to do the same thing. And we're not going to pay for somebody to attend our college if that's the behavior we're going to see in the future. So that is a prime example of something that I've seen that has damaged his reputation.
Okay, so I think it's 7:46. We're going to have to probably stop it there.
Yeah.
So girls, thank you so much for the questions. And we're just going to go back to me right now. And we're going to thank Ms. Sergeant Silva for being here. First of all, we just really appreciate the fact that the Sheriff's Department and you yourself have put so much time and effort into this, and we are hoping that we'll see you back again. We know we'll be working with you in the future.
Absolutely.
And we want to thank the audience. We want to thank you for all the great questions out there. I'm sorry we didn't have time for all of them, but we will try to address some of them maybe in future shows. We are doing tomorrow night another safety segment, and we will have a guest from the district attorney's office with us, and we'll go on with the conversation. So that's tomorrow night. We're also going to be having a wonderful rap artist named Harrell Harris on tomorrow night. And I've talked with Harrell extensively, and boy, you don't want to miss this one. It's amazing. He's a wonderful guest. So these sessions are brought to you by the Jenny Lynn Foundation. And if you enjoyed tonight's session, let us know at jennylynnfoundation.org/contact-us. The Jenny Lynn Foundation is a nonprofit 501c3. Please check out our website at jennylynnfoundation.org and search the music, safety, and the donation links. And we hope that everyone has a good evening. But although I'm saying good night right now, we're going to go to another slide for just a moment for a countdown. That countdown is that we're going to be heading to a Kahoot game. And we're hoping a lot of you will stop and play that game with us. So we'll be doing that Kahoot game till about 8 o'clock. So we're going to start by sharing this slide briefly for a few minutes. And we're going to say goodnight to Sergeant Silva, and I'll be turning my sound off. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Good night, everybody. Be safe. Thank you very much for having me.